Hello friends, Mandar here. I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to talk about whether a person on H1B or any other visa that is tied to their employer and that has limitations work on stocks. Basically whether that person can buy and sell stock and can you do trading. I'm also going to go into the basics of stock buying. What should you look at when you buy the stocks or shares. So if you are interested in this topic, watch this video until the end and let's get started. For a change, I don't have to do any disclaimer for this video. So let's get started. Now first of all, I would like to talk about visa and how it relates to some side hustles that you may be wanting to do for a long time. Say for instance, you are an H1B visa or a L1 visa. What it means is your visa or your status in the United States is tied to your job. So it's tied to the type of job you do, the validity of your visa, and also the location. So there are a lot of restrictions when you are on H1. Now granted that you can work on different jobs at the same time, but you need to have valid H1B when you say you are going to work for company A plus company B, how those visas are also allocated. So there is no limit on how many H1Bs you can concurrently file and get, but you can only work for the ones that you are actually working for. In other words, you cannot work for something that you don't have an H1B for, if it makes sense. So now coming to stocks. Stocks is one of the things that a lot of people do. Say for instance, it's nothing different when you start investing in 401k. Your company has a contribution as well if you work for a company that has that benefit, and you have your contribution. Now where does that money go? That money gets invested into some kinds of stocks or bonds or ETFs and things like that, so that that money can grow. So it cannot just sit in the bank and nobody can give you returns on that. It has to be some place where it's put to work. Now in that situation, you are investing in 401k or in stocks or bonds. You are not actually working for it. So you're not actually doing anything that will grow your money. All you are doing is buying or contributing to an account which is invested in certain different sectors. That is also called a passive income. Now when you are an H1B or L1 or things like that, even if you are tied to your employer for your work purpose and for your visa status, passive income is not considered violation of that visa. So as long as you are invested, you are in 401k, you are in stocks and bonds, and you are not actively working in trading and things like that, you should be okay. Remember, there is a difference between just being a passive income generator versus actually working. Now say for instance, you become a broker or you start doing trading on a full-time basis, like day in and day out, every day you are working or trading a lot of stocks, and that becomes a major chunk of your work. Then now you start to cross this line in terms of if you are working on an H1B. It's a blurry line. Now you go into the territory where you are working on something to earn money for which you don't have an H1B. That's where you got to be a little bit careful. But as long as you are doing so you buy a few stocks in the morning and sell them in the evening, that should not be construed as working extra for without an H1B. So I hope that makes sense. Now let's look at what are the things that you can do in terms of passive income. I talked in my previous videos about owning rental properties. I also talked about owning a home while you are on H1B. Now this is another thing. Stocks, bonds, ETFs are things that you could start doing while you are on H1. And if you once you get your green card, you can even expand that as or a full-time business, if you will. If you really get good at it, you can turn it into a full-time business. Now let's look at some of the basics. What I'm going to talk about, what are the types of tradings that you can do, what are the different platforms that you can use, and then what are the kind of stocks, what are the different kinds of stocks that you can invest in, and also what are the things that you should look at in a particular stock when you are doing such trading. Now first, let's start with what is a stock. Now stock is a public holding. So basically if there is a company, they probably start as a private company. So there is no public investment into that particular company. So that is a privately owned company. There is no stock. It does not have a ticker on any kind of a stock market. Now once the company decides to go public, they issue an initial IP. They kind of announce that now we are starting to accept investments from public sector. So anybody can buy their stock at the IPO. There are two things. One is at the IPO stock, and then is the regular stock once the company goes public. Now IPO stocks are given out to a certain set of or potential shareholders who have certain criteria that company wants you to meet. So say for instance, they should have a certain minimum income, they should have a certain level of assets and some experience. So they may have certain criteria who can participate in the initial IPO. So if you meet that criteria, it is a good opportunity for take advantage of the first time when the company issues an IPO. So you are the first in line to get the stocks basically. Now what are different kinds of trading techniques? Now as I mentioned, if you are novice like me, you usually go in, buy stocks and keep it in your portfolio for a long time. The logic there is you buy low and then wait for it to go high, and at a certain price when it's when the stock is high, you kind of sell it. So that's the basic, that's the 95 or 98% of the investors are in this category. The second one is the day traders. What the day traders do is they take advantage of the stock fluctuation or volatility. So basically, if the stock is fluctuating too much up and down, they kind of time the market. They are good at it because they watch how it falls and how it rises, and they can buy the stock when it's at a lower price, maybe in the morning, and sell it by the evening. So they kind of get that difference, and that's how they make money. So these are day traders. They just come in and do this day in and day out, and that's the income that they can generate. Now the third type of are options traders. Options is basically a contract. A company offers you an option. So what it means is you may be given a spread, you may be given the spread prices. Say for instance, it allows you to buy a stock at a certain price within a certain time frame, and it charges you a small commission for that contract. Now in this scenario, you have an option to buy that stock at the lower price that the contract offers within a certain validity time frame, and whether or not you buy is up to you. You can choose not to buy, or you can choose to sell that contract within that time frame. Whether you buy or not, you will certainly be charged a certain commission fee. That is your risk money. So basically, if you can make the money on that in that call, you deduct the commission fee, and that is your pure profit. So calls and puts and spreads. Now these are the things that you should learn for options trading technique. There are a lot of good videos and good information available on YouTube that you can search. So that's options trading. Now let's look at what are the different kinds of stocks that you are looking at. So there is a whole gamut of companies. Some are technology companies, some are manufacturing companies and things like that. So let's look at them. So you must have heard the term blue chip stock. Now the blue chip stocks are certain companies that are stable. They have already gone through their growth cycle and consist on year over year growth. So what they do is they give you dividends, they may give you certain returns at a consistent basis. So these are the low risk stocks that you can always buy and keep it in your long term portfolio. What are these stocks? These are Johnson & Johnson, Berkshire Hathaway, JPM, AT&T, JP Morgan Chase. Those are the ones. If you invest in any of these stocks, you're sure to not lose money within the foreseeable sure. Well, there is no surety in the stock market, but these are low risk stocks. Those are called blue chip stocks. Now the second category is speculative stocks. Now the classic example is you have certain information about the company, you have a certain trajectory that you can see that this company might grow. That will turn into a speculation based upon which you will buy a stock and anticipate that the stock might grow. A specific example might be Moderna or Pfizer. These are the companies that got the patent for the COVID vaccine and the government approved it. Now what that means is there is a speculation that now these companies will be able to manufacture millions of vaccines and they will be able to roll them out because they are already approved. Now if you buy a stock of these kind of companies, you are sure that this stock price will go merely based on the fact that they are going to produce lots of vaccines that are going to be sold in lots of countries for sure. You can make educated guess about other companies who have a speculative index rising based on some information that you might track about that company. Now the other kind of stock is growth stock, and you might hear about this a lot. And the classic example of growth stock is Amazon and Shopify. So these companies started at a very small stock price, but their growth was exponential within the several years. So if you had bought, there is always an example, if you had bought Amazon in 2000s at $30, you would be a millionaire. So these companies have a upward trajectory. They have new products, new launches coming every so often. You can also categorize Netflix and Google in this category. If you are an aggressive investor, you should definitely look at growth stock. Now there is something else called value stock. Now value stock is something that a company is established with a product line, and it has delivered value in the past, and it is 100% sure that it will deliver value in the next couple of years. So those are value stock. The classic examples could be the big companies such as Microsoft and Apple. Now they have a product line that is very well established. iPhones are very, very well established, same as Windows operating system is very well established. Now Microsoft is also into their Azure cloud, and these will produce you the value and produce you the returns if you invest in them at a steady pace. Now other type of stock is income stock. This is the best stock that I like. I like value, I like growth, and I like income stock. Income stock to me is basically the stock that will provide you a good dividend. What do I mean by dividend is they usually give you a certain percentage of their earnings every quarter. So classic example that I used to invest in is in the energy sector such as Chevron or Shell. They give consistent dividends as you invest in their stock. There are also like JP Morgan in the financial institutions. These companies can give you year over year, quarter over quarter dividends that will make you some money. So those are income stocks. There is something called penny stocks. I won't go into it, and I never go into it. There are day traders that invest into penny stocks. Basically they are very low value, very volatile stocks that you can quickly get in and out and make some quick buck. I'm not one of them, so I won't recommend those to you. And then there are cyclical stocks. The classic examples of cyclical stocks is airlines. Airline industry goes up and down as per the travel season. So say for instance Delta or United might be the stock to buy just before the season and sell at the peak of the season. So these are not consistent. They go up and down as per the business and the demand, and you can kind of predict their cycles when they can be less at lower price versus higher price. So cruises, travel, hotels, those kind of stocks are cyclical stocks that I would say you can speculate and make some money by getting in and out at the right time. Now let's look at things that you should look at when you buy a stock. So say for instance somebody sends you a stock ticker and say, okay, would you buy this stock? Now obviously there are a lot of things that go into it. The company, how stable it is, when did they go IPO, what is the product line that it has, what is their trajectory. But there is a key piece of information that you should be looking at, and that is PE ratio, which is price to earnings ratio. Now what it is it allows you to do the valuation of the company within the same sector. Say for instance you are in the airline stocks, so Delta, United, American and all, you are comparing those. So the parameter that you are going to use to compare these companies is going to be PE ratio. Now what it purely means is you can divide the stock price at the current moment by their earnings over the last 12 months or last 52 weeks. That is nothing but PE ratio. Now this will give you an indicator how the company is performing within the similar sector, and that will kind of give you an indicator whether you should jump on the stock or not. Now the second criteria is also important, which is a PEG ratio, which is you add the growth factor to it. You divide PE by their annual earning. That's what you get, a PEG ratio. This will remove the industry dependency when you are comparing companies. It will put them into the same playing field, and you'll be able to compare it apples to apples, in the sense that some companies grow at the faster rate versus the slower rate, and now if you factor in the growth with the PE, now you are putting that at an equal level in terms of comparison. So PE and PEG ratio, I would certainly suggest you to look at. I would also look at the dividends. I would also look at their trajectory. I would look at their news and patents and product launches and things like that, consumer perception. There are a lot of things that go into making a decision whether you should buy a stock or not. So those were some of the basics that I thought I would just share with you. If you want me to deep dive into any of the sections of this basics, I will be happy to do so. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you got some value out of this video, and if you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.